Today I'll be talking about the HPV vaccine and how it's preventing cancer and saving lives. So it's essentially an example and application of the previous talk that we just heard from Dr. Hamilton Hart. And so first I'll introduce myself. So my name is Sara Bolivar. I'm actually from a very small rural town in Colombia in South America. And so I moved to Orlando, Florida to attend high school and college. Growing up, my dream was actually to be a professional golfer. So I wasn't originally passionate about the sciences until the last year of high school. So it's never too late. And then also because of an injury, I decided that I wanted to go more towards the sciences and not towards golf. So my freshman year in college, I got to do a rotation in a research lab, like Dr. Hamilton Hart was saying. If you have an opportunity to do that, I highly recommend it. I didn't think I would be as excited about science as I was when I was in that lab. I actually studied marine biology, which has nothing to do with medicine, which was the kind of science that I was actually interested in. And so after becoming interested in that, I decided to apply my interest into more pediatric infectious disease research, which is why when I went to college at the University of Central Florida in Orlando, I studied biomedical sciences and I did a lot of virology research. And while I was there, I really took the advantage of doing as many opportunities as I could in the research lab. And I continued playing golf when I could and traveling as well, which is one of my other passions. And so now I was kind of in between, maybe pursuing a career, getting a Ph.D. to do more science in the lab, or continuing to maybe pursue medicine, which was the first thing that I was interested in regards to the sciences. And so I learned about the MD PhD program towards the end of my college career, and because I wasn't sure whether I wanted to commit to an 8-year program to pursue both of these career paths, I decided to take 2 years after college to do more research and really immerse myself in the science. And it was during those 2 years that I really fell in love even more with this career path. And so now I'm at the University of Minnesota. I'm currently a 4th-year MD PhD student. Studying cellular therapies for complications after transplantation, and I'm really interested in pursuing pediatrics as well. And I still continue to play golf and travel when I get time. All right, so today we're going to be talking about HPV, or the human papillomavirus. So this is actually a very common virus that's spread through sexual activity. It actually infects both men and women, and throughout your lifetime, 80 to 90% of people actually become infected. And so although most of these infections do go away on their own because of our immune system, some of these don't. And the ones that don't can lead to precancerous lesions that could either revert back to being healthy cells or could actually, through many, many years, actually go on to develop cancer. And you can see in this image, the HPV is the little blue circles, and then they interact with cells, they can infect them, and they can change how these cells look, causing these precancerous lesions. And so preventing cancer is a lot easier than treating cancer. And so HPV infection can cause many different types of cancer. I think most people talk about cervical cancer, but I think it's really important to note that it causes cancers anywhere from the mouth, the upper throat, and any of your other reproductive organs. And once again, this can occur both in males and females. And so although it causes many types of cancers, we only have one screening method right now, which is cervical cancer screenings. And so it's really, really important to think about getting the HPV vaccine because this serves as our preventative approach for many of the other cancer types. And so the HPV vaccine, right now it's called Gardasil 9, and it prevents you from all of the different types of cancers that it can cause, such as cervical, vaginal, anal cancers, and genital warts. And so HPV, it's important to know that there's tons of different types of HPV. I believe there's over 100. But there's very specific types that actually are cancerous, that could lead to these cancers. And so some of these are listed here, and the vaccine specifically targets and provides the immune response for some of these. And so the vaccine is actually composed of tiny proteins that look very similar to the surface of these different types of HPV. And so when these are injected into patients, the immune system sees them as if it's HPV and generates an immune response. And so this immune response is actually, it's important by generating antibodies. So it's the B cells that produce the antibodies, just like Dr. Hamilton Hart just explained. And these antibodies essentially function so that if and when you see the HPV in the future, the antibodies will bind to HPV and prevent the virus from infecting your cells and causing cancer in the future. And so it's important to also mention that the vaccine is very safe. It does not contain any live virus, and so it cannot cause cancer itself or any other HPV-related illnesses. And so the vaccine is mainly recommended for people who are around 11 to 12-year-olds, once again, males and females. Although if you haven't gotten the vaccine, it's still recommended until the age of 45. And it's important to get it early just because ideally it's good to get it before you're exposed to the virus. And it's 99% effective, so it works pretty well. And then if you've already been infected, it's still good to get the vaccine because, like I said, it actually provides an immune response to many, many of the different types of HPV that cause cancer. And so the take-home message is that HPV is super common, like I mentioned, and then your body does generate an immune response to it, but not always, and some of these can actually lead to cancer, so why not go ahead and use a vaccine that's actually preventing some of these cancers? And with that, I would like to open it up for any questions in regards to the MD PhD career path or anything we just discussed today. Yeah, go ahead.
Could you explain again how getting HPV causes cancer?
Yeah, definitely. So HPV is a DNA virus, and so it infects the cell, it inserts into your genome, and it's been shown to have, it affects your chromosomes and your DNA, and so sometimes it affects some of the genes that are associating with proliferation, and so just like other cancer cells, it's going to proliferate extensively and lead to cancer, so, yep. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's a great question. So the major side effect that people talk about is muscle soreness. So pain at the site of injection is definitely one thing. Usually it only hurts for a day, but it can be a few more days. Some people can experience fever, nausea, pretty mild symptoms that will go away within a few days. So nothing major. Yeah?
This is a career question.
Yeah.
You said you got passionate in high school about the science field. Did you take a class or join a club? Like, what got you passionate?
Yeah, so the question, I'll repeat it again, is what got me interested in this career path in high school. I think we actually had a pre-med club in high school that I was pretty involved with, and we used to do dissections and learn about the career path. We had some pretty inspiring speakers. So I think if you can get involved with people who are in this career path and can tell you more about it, they'll also give you ideas on how to get more involved and learn about it. So, yeah.
How do you address people who with an anti-vax position? Like, how do you address them with this information?
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful question. So, and like I said, I'm interested in pediatrics, and so I do have a little bit of experience in clinic, and I've had actually one particular experience where the parents just absolutely refused to vaccinate their young girl. And so as a physician, I think our goal is to educate, right? To really provide the information to the parents, help them understand, all of the science behind it, how it's safe and effective, and that's all we can do. Provide all of the scientific evidence and encourage them about why this is important and safe, and ultimately they have to make their own decision. So I think it's about being really patient, so not getting angry, because if I get, it's very upsetting, but that's not going to help the situation. So being very patient, thinking about where they're coming from and why they think that, and trying to just get on the same page, I think it's super important.
Has anybody had an allergic reaction or negative response to this vaccine?
Yeah, that's a great question. Has anyone, reacted negatively or, an allergic response to the vaccine? So some people, the components of the vaccine, so it's not just the particles that look like the virus, but there are other things in it. And so some patients could be allergic to it. So it's really important prior to getting the vaccine to make sure that people are not allergic to some of the components involved in the vaccine. So yes, some patients that are allergic to the components would not be indicated to get the vaccine.
Is it like a small percentage of them?
Yeah, it is. Give me one moment. Yep. Go ahead.
So if someone donates blood who took the vaccine, and like the person who receives the blood, do they need to get vaccinated too?
So that's a really good question. So I think they would more likely, yeah. Yeah, because if you're getting blood probably later in life, the idea would be to get vaccinated earlier on so that you can generate the immune response and prevent your exposure during your sexually active years earlier on. So, yep.
So like does that one shot at the age of like 12, 13, does it like last for like the majority of your life, or like should we give it a shot like later on in life?
Yeah, that's really good. So it's very common that with many vaccines you need booster shots at multiple time points. And so the idea, and it's been shown in clinical studies and everything, that by getting the vaccine at ages from anywhere from 9 to 12, you only require 2 doses. So you do require more than one, but your immune response is the strongest during those early years, which is why you only need 2. If you get the vaccine later on in life, you require more than 2. So it can be anywhere from 3 to 4, just because your immune system is not as strong. So yeah, more than 1, it's important. All right. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.